This is the Fantasy Roadshow.
We are live.
We are live.
We are live. Welcome into another episode of the Fantasy Roadshow. This episode is brought to you by Rule 1 Proteins. If you don't know, get familiar. Rule 1 Proteins is the best in the business. They got the best protein powder, the best supplements, the best vitamins. You name it, they got it. Go check them out at www.rule1proteins.com. Thanks for clicking on the video. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Podcast is available on all platforms. And social media, you can find us at Fantasy Roadshow on everything. Go follow us on Twitter, TikTok, you name it. We're there. Go check us out. Today, we are talking Dynasty running backs, and I'm joined, as always, by Kulz and Shane O'Mac. Boys, how we doing? Kulz, specifically, are you ready to talk running backs?
Always, yeah. As ready as anyone could be. I mean, you know, these rankings probably change the most out of anything. This is where you're going to find, I guess, a lot of value, but it changes so much from season to season. So,
well, it changes so much from like minute to minute too. I will be adjusting my rankings as we go through this episode, based on the conversations. You guys make great points on the running backs that you like or dislike. So let's jump right into it. Shane, how you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, I'm sure you are.
Much better than last week when we tried to do this recording last weekend, and like the tornado storms came rolling through my neighborhood and crashed everything. So
how fast were those winds? 90-mile-an-hour winds?
90 miles per hour.
90.
That's fast. But we're here. So how you doing? You better today? How's the weather out in Kansas?
Good. Real quick, shout out to my neighbor Drew for coming by, picking up all my big trees that were knocked off. And also shout out to Drew for burying his neighbor's dead cat that was caught in the storm.
Whoa.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Shout out Drew.
Whoa. Really stepping it up.
Yeah.
Wait, what happened? Dead cat?
So dead cat ended up dead from the storm. Yeah. Like
terrible.
Smashed. And then
house cat?
Yeah, that got outside, smashed.
Did you say smashed?
Smashed, and
like
so
flat.
Yeah, so what? to he got out there before the kids got home that day and buried it, and before the parents got home, buried him for it. So shout out, Drew.
Oh my God!
Did they name that tornado Shane O'Mac for smashing all that pot?
Okay. All right. Enough with the dead cat talk. We are here talking Dynasty running backs. We're talking. We're going through our top 60 Dynasty running backs. We're going to be talking about the discrepancies that each of us have. We each went ahead and ranked them, and we got a lot of good conversation to talk about. I can't even hear what you're saying. Were you being a smartass?
Dead cat.
Yeah. Enough with the dead cats. I got 3 cats running around. I don't want to think about one of them getting flattened by the storm. Anyway, so yeah, let's jump right into it, Mike. I know you were planning on quarterbacking this. I think we were off to a good start last time, so let's build off that and show the roadies what's going on for Dynasty football. Oh, wait, by the way, we just started our first ever listener Dynasty League. No, not a dead cat Dynasty League, Mike. Stop it right now. No, it's our first ever listener league Dynasty draft. We just started it. Actually started 10 minutes ago, so to speak. Yep. But we're going to be producing content based on this live Dynasty startup draft. Each round, we're probably going to put a bunch of stuff on Twitter. Make sure you go follow it at Fantasy Roadshow. But we're just going to be doing live episodes here and there while we speed up the clock and kind of talk through picks. Mike, do you want to add on anything I missed?
Yeah, I also want to point out that you started the running back rankings twice and then veered quick right into now we're talking Dynasty. Which
wait, what do you mean?
Our Dynasty League.
Well, yes.
All right, let's hop into it. And then
I know.
And then we hopped back into it, and now we're talking about the Dynasty League. It's great. Shane O'Mac found a nice little 100yardrush.com. So we plugged in everyone's name, 12 of us in the league, super flex, full point PPR. It's going to be really fun. We're going to be doing content all year long. It's our first ever listener league, so we're all excited. We hand selected everyone. It should be a pretty active draft. I know people are already talking about trading draft picks. So, Shane O'Mac's going to be all over Twitter as always. And, I don't know if we'll do maybe every pick in the first round, or then every round, and just kind of update with how the draft's going and kind of engage with all the roadies and the fantasy Twitter sphere just to kind of get their input on how the draft is going along. I think one thing we're going to try to do, it's been a little tough with Memorial Day weekend. We'll see how much of the draft gets knocked out during that, but we want to go live, discuss draft analysis, us three, open invite to all members of the league, do a 10 to 15 minute shot clock, and kind of try to hammer out a few rounds, do live analysis as we go. Maybe if someone makes a draft pick, they hop on stream and discuss that draft pick. Maybe someone is thinking about shopping one of their picks and we get a live trade negotiation going. We don't know. We're going to, just be really fun and open-minded with how we're going to produce content along the way. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be awesome. Shane O'Mac is currently on the clock right now.
On the clock.
The number one draft pick, 101, went Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
Shane O'Mac sitting there at 102, currently on the clock. So, I mean, before we hop into ranks, tell us where your mind is.
Tell us where your mind's at. Sweating. I don't know. Is the number, the guy I'm thinking about, his number ends in 8. So with the 1 in front of it, that's where I'm leaning at right now. So
has he played football yet in the NFL?
I don't think he's really played yet.
Shane, don't do this, Shane.
He's got great fashion. I love his fashion choices.
Shane,
Lee.
Shane. Stop messing around and just take Dak Prescott, okay? Just take him.
Love it.
All right. Well, we're not going to make Shane make the pick now. We do have an 8-hour clock.
I kind of wanted to, but
I know I kind of wanted to too, but I didn't want to put him on the spot.
I don't think he wants to. 4 hours.
4 hours.
4-hour clock. Shane's got some time to think it over. I think it's pretty much a no-brainer there.
Yeah. Just wait to see if I had any great trade offers come in. Maybe got to wait.
Well, the more you talk about drafting Caleb Williams, the more I will think about sending you a trade offer. But enough is enough. All right, let's get into some dynasty running backs. The reason why we're here.
Yes.
And go ahead, Mike. Take it away.
Yeah. Everyone's got Bijan RB1 straight across the board. Breece Hall RB2. I think that's kind of probably industry consensus. I actually don't have the rankings pulled up, but that sounds about right to me. Jahmyr Gibbs at 3, 3-4 goes Jahmyr and McCaffrey by truck, and Shane O'Mac has Jonathan Taylor there. I have McCaffrey at 3 in front of Gibbs. Honestly, I think McCaffrey's going to be elite for probably 3 years, and then even in those 3 years, we'll see how Shanahan uses him. I could see them drafting another back and kind of staggering him and lengthening his career. Regardless, he's just an elite athlete. So, he was banged up with injury early in his career on the shithole Panthers, who just ran him into the ground. But, Niners have a great offense. They're going to keep him around as long as they can, make him plays. So because of that, I imagine he's RB1 this year off the board and probably RB1 next year in redraft leagues. So, not trying to look too far ahead, especially with running backs. That's why I have McCaffrey at 3 and ahead of Gibbs. I think we all agree Gibbs is going to have a pretty exciting target share this year compared to last.
Can I ask you guys a quick question? Just would you say Jahmyr Gibbs will ever have the ceiling that Christian McCaffrey currently carries?
I don't know, because McCaffrey gets all those goal line carries, and I don't know Gibbs will ever get all of them, because Montgomery is a stud there, and Campbell really does like to use 2 backs with 2 different complementary styles. So not that ceiling, but maybe he could potentially have pass rushing upside where he catches the same amount of balls per year as McCaffrey,
I think he could have the ceiling of peak Alvin Kamara. I think that could be
higher.
Well, that was always the comp when he came in, but absolutely. I completely see
higher ceiling, I think, because I do think he'll get over 1,000 rushing yards. And I don't know that Kamara did that too often.
I think he maybe did it once.
Yeah.
So I would say in between McCaffrey and Kamara is probably a pretty safe guess there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just curious what you guys, best case scenario for Jahmyr Gibbs,
Is he going to be like Breece Hall and catch 10 balls some games? Like, probably not, but
we'll see.
Balanced offense.
Yes, definitely.
I want to hear about Shane O'Mac putting Taylor ahead of McCaffrey, ahead of Saquon. I know he's kind of bullish on the Colts as a whole. We already talked about Richardson, but tell us something there, Shane.
Yeah, I just think age. So obviously I like the age part of that. And I just love this offense, the way they are setting it up. And I'm a big believer in Shane Steichen. I think he is a creative mind, like one of the top creative offensive minds in the league. So I think Anthony Richardson, can help Taylor out as far as not as much attention. So I think I don't think you're going to look there, and I don't think Richardson will be Jalen Hurts where every goal line opportunity goes to Richardson. I think Taylor's going to get plenty of goal line opportunities.
And I think that's kind of where we differ. You only have one spot higher than me, but I really think Jonathan Taylor's goal line, his rushing touchdowns, is going to be in jeopardy this year if Anthony Richardson can stay healthy. We saw what Richardson did with the limited workload that he got this last year, and this could be serious trouble for Jonathan Taylor, in my opinion, for this particular season.
Yeah. Are they going to do a tush push?
No.
I don't think you need to with Anthony Richardson. The guy's an absolute tank.
So anyways, I think, you might have to worry about that this year. I don't know that Richardson will be a starting quarterback in 2 years. I'm not necessarily low on Taylor. I'll say how I feel about Barkley in a second, but one thing I saw that I think is pretty interesting, which might apply to Richardson's career, say he does have somewhat of success. He put on a ton of weight this year, a ton of muscle. Like, he looks absolutely jacked. He already doesn't have an accurate arm to begin with. So that'll be interesting to see how his arm. I just got distracted by looking at Shane O'Mac spelling Ramamdre down here.
Why are you looking that far down?
Because I have ADD and I space out when I try to think. Gotcha. So yeah, like, he's putting on all this weight. His arm already isn't accurate to begin with. Does that affect his accuracy and his arm at all? And the reason I bring that up is because Lamar Jackson just decided to shed all of the muscle that he put on last season. So, he's looking more like Jaden Daniels than he is like Anthony Richardson this next year. He supposedly that's for speed. I don't know if that's for arm or accuracy, but I'm not going to go ahead and say this is a Kulz conspiracy, but is there anything to that?
You should definitely say it's a Kulz conspiracy so we can use the drop, because we haven't used that conspiracy.
Yeah, but there's no real conspiracy around it. There's no real conspiracy around it other than, like, Richardson is a way bigger human being and athlete than Lamar, but puts on the weight. Lamar puts on the weight to kind of sustain hits, but did that affect his arm? Or Richardson putting on the weight to try to not run into that same amount of injury? I don't know. There's just a lot to that. I just thought that was interesting when I saw Lamar choose to come in to shed some of that muscle and to come into camp. So something to just look out for with Richardson. Like, that's just my thoughts there.
Okay.
But yeah, so Barkley I had at 5 ahead of Taylor, and simply same reason as McCaffrey. Like, I think we're about to see the best years of Barkley's career. For sure, for 2 years, and I think he's probably the best athlete, period, in the running back, in terms of running backs, and maybe outside of Bijan. So, like, give me 2 years of his prime with a way better team and offense. They're going to be winning divisions. You're going to see the best Barkley. He hasn't been on a team that is like Super Bowl bound. So we don't know what Saquon looks like when he unlocks that next level when he is the star in a running game that we saw DeAndre Swift look fucking outstanding in. So with all those weapons and how much they have to spread the field, Saquon's going to have room to dance, and it's going to be fucking dangerous. Like, talking about it just pumps me up. I'm ready to see him for 2-3 years at his peak on an awesome team and offense, you know?
Yeah, which is why I just moved him up ahead of Jonathan Taylor. As we're talking about it, I love the situation Barkley's in with Philadelphia, and Jonathan Taylor's situation with Anthony Richardson just really gives me a lot of pause. So
yeah, you should have always had him ahead of him there, because you were just talking about how, you know, you feel there's going to be a little bit of effect with Richardson running on Taylor. So definitely the right move, bumping him there. Yeah, Shane, what do you think? Do you think he gets affected because of all the weapons, and you don't think his production is high? But I just see his prime being what it's going to be.
No, I think he will be very motivated year one for sure. I think that RPO offense will help him. He's not been in an offense like that that's spread out, which is I think the same thing of Taylor. I think that RPO offense will help Taylor also. But I think for at least 1 year he should have a pretty good year. The only concern you could bring up is like, okay, do they still do the tush push with no Kelsey? If they do, is all the goal line opportunities taken away?
Did you hear what he said on New Heights podcast? He was like, I just won't go down at the 1.
That's good.
He's got fucking legs, man. I love Saquon. Like I said, he is the best athlete. He's got the strongest leg. Like, I just think his prime is ahead of us. I want to get all the Saquon I can in round 2 and underdog right now, because I think he's just going to have those fucking games. Imagine if they do move away from Hurts with the tush push with Kelsey gone, or he's just getting those, 2-3 yard carries and punching it in because of how good that line is. And he gets, I don't know, 20% of the rushing touchdowns that Hurts had. That's just going to be a ridiculous season for him. I'm excited to see what happens. Anyways, ETN, we're all pretty industry there, or consensus there.
Yep.
I want to hear about Shane O'Mac having Josh Jacobs RB8. Tell us what you got there for Shane O'Mac.
I just think he was in like one of the worst situations last year. I mean, the quarterback situation. This is a 3-down back. The Packers signed him to a 4-year deal. We've seen Packer running backs thrive in that offense. You've got the deepest and youngest wide receiver set to take attention off of him, where it's not solely focusing on Jacobs. I don't think A.J. Dillon is nearly the person that cuts into his time like it used to be with A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. I think barring injury, like, he is going to be, over 50 receptions. You're looking, well over 1,000 yards and double-digit touchdowns. His contract is set up where they could get out after deals after each year, but I don't anticipate the team struggling or him struggling in the first couple of years where he's not there.
Are you worried about
Marshawn Lloyd?
Are you worried about this guy at all?
No, I'm not.
I tell you what, man.
I never saw Eddie Lacy show up to camp like this.
I mean, they made a concerted effort to go get him, pretty early in the free agency.
Well,
period.
I think Dillon's gone, and he's the new Dillon. We'll see what happens with Jacobs. I'm not high on Jacobs. I have him down at 16. So is Truck. I'm actually interested why Truck has him that low. Truck, I'm gonna kick it to you because you say you want pieces of him this year, and now I'm seeing him rather low on your rankings. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
So the conversations I've had with you personally, it's strictly in a redraft sentiment. I love Josh Jacobs in redraft this year. Talking about Dynasty, it really gives me some concern. I do really, really like Marshawn Lloyd. I think Marshawn Lloyd is a really talented running back. But for me, it's who I have ahead of Josh Jacobs. So I was literally just looking as Shane was talking because I do like Josh Jacobs. I love the situation he's in with the Packers. I think he's going to be really good for 2 to 3 years. I don't know about anything after that. So 2 to 3 years in a really good offense. I could put him above Kenneth Walker because I'm a little concerned about Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet getting some more work in that team. But ahead of him, Swift. I love Swift on the Bears for a lot longer. Brooks, rookie. I think he's going to fill into a role. Pacheco, great offense. One of the best offenses with Mahomes and Cook, and you just work your way up. So for me, this kind of is right where I would feel comfortable with Josh Jacobs in Dynasty.
Hearing the word love, you love him the next 2 to 3 years. There's uncertainty with Brooks. Pacheco, there's nothing to love about Pacheco. He's just in a good offense. He's gonna get his looks. He's never gonna have a season where you're like, holy shit, like Josh Jacobs had 2 years ago. There's nothing to love about Pacheco. So using the term love, I just think you immediately should have him at 12 at least, because those guys, there's question marks with Brooks. He's coming off an ACL tear and he's on the worst team from last year. And Pacheco, there's just not any wow factor there. And how many years does he have in that offense?
Well, Pacheco is still really young, and the way that the Chiefs focused on him last year, that progression from year to year, from 2 years ago to last year, was really, really intriguing to me. They really leaned on him last year during that run. So that's why I like Pacheco with that amazing Chiefs offense. I think Pacheco has a lot of opportunity there to even grow even further than he did last year.
But PPR 15 last year. 935 yards and 7 touchdowns, caught the ball 44 times. But
see, for me,
is he going to be a 1,000-yard rusher?
I think so. I'm banking on Isaiah Pacheco is going to be a 1,000-yard rusher
for the next 3 years.
I mean, I could see him. It's just hard to say anything past 3 years because that's what typical contracts are for running backs. So when you're talking about something like 7 years in the future, 6 years in the future, it's really impossible to tell. I think he has longevity with this league, and I think he'll be a good running back for many years to come. But I really like the situation he's in with the Chiefs. I like that better than an aging Josh Jacobs in a young offense.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't see him I don't think he'll have 1,000 yards for the next 3 years. And if I loved Josh Jacobs, who's going to have more rushing yards the next 3 years, Jacobs or Pacheco?
Jacobs.
So in order for you to love Pacheco more, he's got to play at least another 3 years with Mahomes, and he'll be 28 and playing. It'll be his 28, 29 through his early 30s. That's just so many miles. He could be a Frank Gore. That's just so many miles, but we'll see what happens. I definitely see Pacheco as the guy that takes a team friendly deal because he looks at his hand and sees all these rings and he's like,
he's not gonna get
paid anywhere at
exactly. That's my point. He's not gonna go out and get a giant check from some other team. So I think he stays with Mahomes. He's a great running back. They really
you're taking him early. I mean, from this is actually a really good transition because we're going to talk about Pacheco anyways. So he's just like your low risk, steady Eddie.
Yeah.
I respect that. I mean, I do respect that.
Low ceiling, high floor for me. Pacheco.
I respect that. I just think the way that you feel about Jacobs, you're still probably too low on him on your rankings because I know you like him a lot, and I don't. That's why I think it's just something that sticks out to me for sure.
And that's fair. It's just hard for me to move him ahead of these other guys that I like more. For
Swift is your heart. Brooks, what's Brooks?
Brooks for me, just the unknown potential. This guy is an amazing prospect. He's going into a young offense that's trying to build around Bryce and get these pieces together. And I think Jonathan Brooks is one of those essential pieces for this team for many, many years. And I think he outperforms expectations, and he's going to be Probably I would imagine he's going to be higher in my ranks this time next year when we're talking dynasty running backs.
Yeah, the beauty about Brooks is you got, Hubbard is in the final year of his deal this year. Miles Sanders can be cut after there. He's still in the contract, but he can be cut after this year with like a very, very minimal dead cap hit. He may be cut even this year or traded this year before this season starts. So I think he's looking at next year when he's a full year and a half removed from that injury, at least that is where he really hits his stride.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not too worried about the injury. Like I'm kind of throwing that out the window. Yeah. Younger players nowadays, they just recover from injuries faster with the science and everything. And we've seen it before, players get injured, they come back and they're right back where they were. So I'm not too worried about that injury that he suffered in college.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's RB 15 in at Fantasy Pros. I was trying to find. I don't know why I can't get the running back list, but I think he's at RB 15 is what they have him at. I have him in RB 8. I guess I'm the highest on him. I also don't like. You mentioned this is where you're going to have him next season. You're going to have him a lot higher next season. You think?
I think
he's every year there's a rookie running back. I mean, Shane O'Mac's got the stats in his brain. You know how I roll. I just kind of know that they exist. But every year there's a rookie running back. What, in the top 5 or something like that? Shane O'Mac.
Yeah.
Whatever that stat is that's been going on forever, that's going to be Jonathan Brooks to me. He's the only one in my mind. Like, it could be Benson if he wins that job and the Cardinals kind of pop off, like definitely could be Benson, but for me it's Jonathan Brooks because I think that the Panthers take a huge step forward. I think we see Bryce Young have a great year, and people kind of sorry, I don't know if I should. Where did I have him? Yeah, I had him at my QB 14. So because of how down everyone is on the Panthers, that's why I'm on board. I think Canales is going to step in, and he's going to unlock some of the reason why Bryce was number 1 overall pick. And he's got that IQ. He's got that. The way that the vision, there's the way that he sees the field. He's gonna start to show you something. The guy that we saw in college, this season, he's got a young offense, a lot of weapons, new coach. It seems like the whole atmosphere in that building is a lot more positive. They know they don't have to go out there and hit a home run. Canales just wants to put the pieces together, win ball games, and start looking like a competent football team. So, Brooks, like you mentioned, these athletes at running back that are just like next level in terms of athleticism, they recover quickly from the knee injury. He was going to be a first rounder without that, on his way to being by far the best running back in the draft class. Panthers got their guy, wide open running back room, like Shane O'Mac said. You see him at RB8 because I think he performs at that level this year. And then, he's probably right around this range heading into next season, maybe ahead of ETN, depending on how that, everything goes. But
yeah, definitely top 10 if everything goes well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I think you see that from him this year. That's why I have him at RB8.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Cool. Well, we went over Pacheco as well. I don't know. I'm
the highest on him, and I stated my case for him, so I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I don't think we need to add anything with him. I want to hear Shane O'Mac talk about Achane. Chuck's got him at 8. I have him at 9.
Yeah, I got something to say.
Let's hear what you got to say there.
Yeah, I
want to hear Shane O'Mac talk Achane first. Sorry.
So it's just a couple things. So one, you look at what he did last year. It was such big games in a small sample size. So, 20, I think it was 20 or more fantasy points in 5 games last year. And then only 6 fantasy points per game in the other 6 contests. So two things happened. Like, they went ahead and resigned Mostert to a 2-year deal. But that's probably going to be 1 year. I mean, Mostert, don't forget how many touchdowns he scored last year. But I think the bigger concern is now this year they traded up in the draft to draft a running back who has the same skill set as him and Jalen Wright. And so I think to try to preserve Achane's health, they're going to probably work in Wright more that has the same skill set. You look at two of his best games last year. It was when he got, I think it was 22 and 24 touches. So it may be hard for him to get to that level of touches in the next couple of years.
Yeah. A little bit of a teaser. We're going to be doing an interview this weekend with a Miami Dolphins fanatic. And I'll be very interested to have this conversation with him about the running back room. It's what I'm most excited to talk to him about. Yeah. I mean, Jonnu Smith, I'm interested in if they think that he's going to be like an actual weapon for them. Yeah, exactly, Chuck. God, you always finish my sentences. Chuck, it's just, you know me so well,
I don't even mean to do it sometimes.
You need to do it because my brain.
Nice. Hearts. Well, thumbs up.
We need you to do it because your brain, my brain gets stalled, and then I'm like tripping over a word that you just finished my sentences. Anyways, I'm excited to hear what he has to say there about the Dolphins running back room. Because like I won't touch Mostert with a 10-foot pole, but I do think that like where he's being drafted, that's just kind of how everyone feels. So like. Coming off the year he had, like you could easily see him. I don't know where he's getting drafted and redraft, but you could easily see him being one of those like mid-round, like remember where like Aaron Jones was getting drafted last year. He was maybe a little more aggressive in like round 4, but that mid-round like 0 RB is where you would think that someone coming off the season he had would be getting drafted, but it seems like the industry as a whole is just like, I don't know about Mostert this year. So it'll be interesting to hear what, someone as tied into him and the fan base has to say about that. But I agree with Shane. Like, yeah, to me, like with Jalen Wright and Achane, it's almost like McDaniel and McVay are on the same page where they found what running back works well in their offense, and they just want that guy on the field at all times. So what is the splits going to look like? Probably hot hand, when Wright gets caught up to speed, but is he going to be up to speed right away? Maybe. It's not typically that hard for running backs to get caught up there, but I think that's what it is. Those guys kind of come from the same tree. They know what skill set fits well in their offense. They want that piece on the field at all times. For McDaniels, it's speed, obviously. So is that a hot hand approach? Does it affect Achane? I don't know. I think it helps him long-term in Dynasty just from a longevity standpoint. He's probably a boom bust type player regardless, with those 60-yard touchdown runs. So like he's in there in your lineup for big swings. And if this lengthens his career from a durability standpoint, I think of it as a win long term, which that's why I don't see it too much of a drop in Dynasty for me.
Yeah, and I mean De'Von Achane is the definition of electricity. This guy is just brings the thunder and the lightning, dude. He was like arguably one of the most exciting things about fantasy football last year.
I'm trying to get Shane O'Mac to do like a lightning bolt on his screen. See if
I don't think he'll do that.
No, but I mean, bringing in, they had to draft another running back. Jalen Wright. I think Jalen Wright and De'Von Achane in a couple of years could be the best duo in the NFL with how the Dolphins play football. So I think Achane, you have to limit his production. He is not the type of running back to carry the ball 20 times and be your every down back. But when you put him in, he is shown to get the job done. 7.8 yards per carry last year, 800 yards in only 11 games with like 8 touchdowns. He played a full season last year. I'm not even getting it into speculation, but he's a special running back. So I really, really like Achane, and that's why I clearly am the highest on him. But yeah, I think he's great for Dynasty for many, many, many years.
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to come down to like how long. If McDaniel's there and the offense is humming and Tyreek Hill's there, I mean, he's got fucking 10 kids, so he's got to play. That is a Kulz conspiracy. Hit the music here.
I got you.
I went full screen, so I can't. I'm surprised we're actually busting this conspiracy out on running back rankings. I should have saved it for wide receiver rankings.
Save it for next week.
I truly do think that Tyreek Hill, his career has just increased. What is he on a 2-year deal? I think he's got 5 years left in him because of all the baby mamas that he has to pay.
Well, the baby mama.
That's not even kidding.
Do you know how much money he's making?
I seriously think, dude, he has 10 kids with 5 different women.
If you have 10 kids,
you know that his wife
so much money. He could work. He could play for 2 more seasons and still have enough money to. Those kids will never have to work in their life.
I promise you, no.
Hey, I am just glad that his girlfriends value the role of being a mother in today's society.
Truck. They don't have
Let's not go there, Shane.
They don't have a fixed rate. They don't have a fixed rate that they get paid. They get a percentage of his income.
I understand that, but he's just making so much fucking money. So
no,
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I agree with you. I think he plays longer than originally said by him last year. I'm only playing 3 more seasons.
And he's gonna get into porn.
Yeah. I think he does play a little bit more. I think he'll play another couple seasons. I don't know about
I'm telling you, dude,
for
he's
the
gonna
reasons
have to play another 2.
I don't know about for the reasons you're stating, but I do think he plays longer than 2 years. So
I almost guarantee it's for the reasons that I'm stating.
Okay.
Like,
how are we going to prove that? Let's get Tyreek Hill on the pod.
His current wife, Kenny Vaccaro. Tyreek Hill, like, you're going to get it. I don't want to go any further about what I think about his intelligence as a human being. But
move on.
Kenny Vaccaro's his sister, his wife. You think she's gonna let some like baby mama have more kids with Tyreek than his wife? He's gonna have to have another 1 or 2. He's gonna have fucking 12 to 13 kids. Truck. He's got all the money in the world. 13 kids. Shane O'Mac can tell you how expensive a kid is. Never mind living in Miami with the lifestyle that Tyreek Hill is thinking he's going to provide. He's going to have to play more seasons. I'm telling you, it's not like there's going to be something to that. Anyways, we can move on.
Let's please move on. Let's just go. What other running back are we talking about, Mike? You guys are funny.
Let's talk about Javonte Williams. I think he's a really interesting running back right now. They have a crowded room.
Hold on. How are you the lowest on Javonte Williams?
Because I don't think that he has a very clear path right now. And he's got a new coach.
I feel like you've only ever talked glowingly about Javonte. So this is the first time
I used to hate him. I just think after his injury, I think he's like an athletic running back and he's going to come back from that. But then, of course, they had the year they had last season. Well, he looked good at times and there was flashes of him, but he's in an offense that like his job's up for grabs unless he's by far the best running back in the backfield, which I think he is. But like he's got to win over Sean Payton, who just brought in 2 rookie running backs. So it's not the same coach there. I just don't think his role is hammered out enough to put him in front of Pacheco, Kamara. Yeah, he's only got a couple years maybe, but I still like Kamara. Benson, I think, wins that job because as you see, have James Conner basically not on my list. He's at 36 behind Brian Robinson Jr., if that has anything to say, if that has to say anything. So I just, Derrick Henry, dude, him going to the Ravens was the best possible landing spot. I think that lengthened his career a good bit. He's an athletic freak. He's going to be in a running back. He's going to be in a very good running system, and he's going to have 15 rushing touchdowns this year. You know what I mean? He's not going to be asked to. He's not going to have to be asked to do a lot, and he's just going to produce, and that's going to make his career longer. So I like Derrick Henry this year. So as you said earlier with your Jacobs take, every single guy ahead of him for me is a no-brainer. But Shannon Mack, you got him at 16. Talk about how you like him.
Yeah, so I mean, we just got to remember, like, it was not only one knee injury, it was an ACL and an LCL injury. So I just think, like you said, that he showed flashes. When he got 15 or more carries last year, he was like the RB16. When he didn't get 15 or more carries, he was like RB32. So it's so fickle with Sean Payton, you know, with the drafting of running backs. And then you hear Sean Payton talk a little bit about Jaleel McLaughlin even this offseason, which is a little concerning. I like the talent. So right now I'm just slotting him in there because I think he's the most talented guy in that backfield. Yeah. And I think they have to get better as an offense, I think.
Well, yeah. You know, are you guys, am I alone in the liking Audric Estime on this team?
No, I like Estime, and that's why I'm concerned with Javonte at 20. I mean,
we've been talking about Javonte, but we haven't brought up.
No,
to me,
that's exactly who I was. That's exactly who I was going to bring up. Like McLaughlin. He's not. To me, he's not. He's a non-threat. It's Estime if he comes out and looks like a stud. He was a stud at Notre Dame. Yeah. He has a lot of talent, and I could just see Sean Payton being like, "Damn, I kind of like that guy," and then saying like, "We're not going to be any good this year. Let's start the young guy, give him a little bit of experience, and go get Travis Hunter in the top 3 next year," something like that. Or let's go get my boy from LSU, Campbell. Like, he's going to be a top 3 draft pick. So I don't know. I think Peyton's smart enough that he needs to kind of take it slow with Nix if he doesn't want to stunt his growth and his career. So they're not going to be off to a hot start. And I could see a world where Estime vultures quite a bit of that target share. I don't know. But like Shane O'Mac said, like when he was running well, he looked great. So that's why there's an intrigue to put him inside your top 20 and almost, touching your top 15. So he's going to be one of those guys that you're either going to swing and a miss really bad and be like, fuck, or, maybe he gets traded somewhere in a good situation and he looks great in Dynasty. So his skill level is there. Aaron Jones goes down and the Vikings trade for him. That's a pretty good spot in a good offense, depending on what JJ McCarthy is. So,
nope.
I don't know. Truck says,
well, I just moved him. The reason I just moved him with Trey Benson, I really like Trey Benson. I really think this time next year, he's really going to be able to develop with this offense. Marshawn. I'm still thinking about Marshawn Lloyd with the Packers. Marvin Harrison Jr. With Kyler Murray in this offense with Trey Benson. I think they're going to be something really, really special. So I'm going to put him above Javonte because Javonte worries me a little bit. And how high do I want to put? I'll worry about that after we'll see. I might be moving Trey Benson up a little bit more in Dynasty. We'll see.
Yeah.
Someone that we didn't talk about you talking about him, Truck. So this is going to be a spontaneous take on your part. So I'm very interested to see where this goes because he's another one of those guys that you're the highest on. And that's somewhat surprising. Tony Pollard, you have at RB20. Shane and I have him at 25. What is the thoughts there on Pollard? I want to be sold on him, so sell me.
Okay. Here's my deal with Tony Pollard. I feel like the range of outcomes is very wide with him. I personally believe, yes, it is very wide with him. I personally believe Tony Pollard is a good running back. I think he will succeed in this offense to a point. Like I think this offense is going to be bad. Don't get me wrong. I don't think the Titans are going to be able to make the strides that they need to be considered a good team in the NFL. But Tony Pollard, I think, is going to be serviceable enough for. I mean, what was his contract he signed? It was a 2-year, $8 million, or what was the? Do you guys
it was either 2 or 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3. So those 2 or 3 years, I think he plays well. I don't think Tyjae Spears is really going to be able to take over the job from Tony Pollard. I think Tony Pollard is the number one running back on that team throughout the contract, 2 to 3 years, whatever. If one of you guys can fact check me on that while I'm talking. But
it's a 3-year deal. They can get out after 2.
Yeah, 3-year deal. They can get out after 2. And in this offense, Tony Pollard is not going to have to carry the ball as much as he did with the Cowboys last year. He is not going to be that, he's going to be much more along the lines of where he was with Zeke. I think he gets 200 carries this year. And right around that 200 is kind of his sweet spot for Tony Pollard for me. So I think he's still an effective running back, an efficient running back when he only gets a certain amount of carries. And I think that's what they're gearing him up for on the Titans.
We just got a Shane O'Mac Gronk outburst. It's a 3-year deal.
Yeah, so I mean that makes me feel even better.
I kind of like that. I'm going to compare him to a running back room that we already talked about. It's going to be a poor man's version of the Dolphins with Pollard and Spears. Similar-ish skill sets. They both thrive with that 15 touch mark, or at least Spears seems that way. He's got a very explosive style. So if they can just kind of stagger one another and have those explosive plays, and that's what they're in there for, then maybe you see a poor man's version of that and just a worse offense and a worse team. But I'm not necessarily sold yet that Levis isn't the guy. I think he has the opportunity. He's got everyone there. He's got the veteran Hopkins. Yeah, veteran Hopkins to kind of say, Ridley, this is how it's done. And they brought in everyone that he needs to succeed. So that's respectable. I respect what they did for Levis, saying, let's find out if he's our franchise quarterback. And if he is, then, Pollard is going to be a great piece in Dynasty for sure. Him and Tyjae, so we'll see if that happens. I think we're starting to see a lot more two-headed type approach. I think we have seen a lot more of that, but I think we're going to start to see more of the 50-50 hot hand approach.
You just keep the fresh legs. You avoid certain injuries by overworking players, and maybe the longevity helps too. So maybe they play longer, because running backs have a short shelf life.
Short shelf life. Ramondre. No, I don't want to talk about him. Fuck.
Please don't.
Ramondre. His name will forever be Ramondre. Mac. All right. So let's talk a little bit. I mean, I don't want to just skip all the way down. Actually, scratch that. I want to talk about Zach Moss because I'm way higher on him. I have 27.
Can I jump in before you talk about Zach Moss?
Of course.
I want to ask you if you could scroll up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I'm scrolling up.
No. Oh, that's wait. Where are you? Yeah. You're good here. You have Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry at 15. I have him at 21. Shane has him at 23. You have Derrick Henry over Trey Benson. Derrick Henry signed a 2-year contract with the Ravens. He's 30 years old right now. He'll be 32 by the time his contract is done.
Yep. So
explain to me, I'm just genuinely curious why you would rank him ahead of Trey Benson, Josh Jacobs. Those are really
that's it.
I mean, I could ask you more, but I would even make reasons in my head why he would be higher. And, so I'm curious.
Jacobs, I don't agree with you guys at all on the Jacobs thing. I just don't. I'm going to let everyone else be high on him this year and watch him strike out. It's just not. I think Packers are due for a little bit of regression this year, and people think it's like this new sexy toy. I don't think it's an upgrade from Aaron Jones at all. So I just don't. I'm not high on Josh Jacobs. I think I could see Josh Jacobs. I think it's a 4-year deal, but there's an out after 2, I believe.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Which to me, that out is going to happen. I think he's going to underwhelm this year. I think Marshawn Lloyd is going to be a beast of a running back. And the team's going to be a little bit underwhelming, and you're going to start to see like a changing of the guard. I'm not a Josh Jacobs guy. Benson, I think I'm high on Benson. So I'm not going to put him above Derrick Henry because there's definitely risk there. He's proven 0 in the league. Derrick Henry has brought Ryan Tannehill to the number 1 seed in the AFC, and he has brought Arthur Smith a head coaching job. So that just kind of shows what type of talent he is. And he's going to be in Baltimore in a running offense in a system that thrives on that power back. It's the best possible landing spot for a guy who has 2 years on a deal where he's going to have 15 touchdowns a year. Like to me, like when you get, just like Barkley, when you get put into a spot where it's like, and McCaffrey, and I'm high on all 3 of those guys. So think of it as like that model of stylistic running back fits in his perfect system, and it increases the longevity of his career because those 3 guys I just mentioned are physical fucking freaks. So, and they're, they've accomplished so much in the league and they're incredible. So a year ago, I was worried about being the guy holding the bag with Henry. I think you see a banged up Henry could be fucking on crutches and do what Gus Edwards did last year. So to me, it's just, he's going to have a great 2 seasons, and then they're going to be either Super Bowl champs or on the verge like they kind of have been, and he's going to continue to look good and try to push them over the edge. So I don't know. I'm just high on him. I think he's low risk, ton of touchdowns, and I can't imagine how many yards he can run for in that offense. So I think he's in a perfect spot.
Do you think he plays another season after 2 years?
That's what I missed saying. Yeah, I think that like he's going to have a great 2 seasons, and then that's going to increase the longevity of his career. I need to learn how to end my takes sometimes. I think I just ramble because exactly what I said and what I was trying to encompass is it's the same exact blueprint as Barkley and McCaffrey. Incredible running backs in the best possible system for them, and all they do is thrive and increase their career longevity. So perfect situations. If he was on the Titans, I would not have him probably in my top 25 because
fair enough,
obvious reasons. You're going to end up holding the bag. I don't think you do that anymore with Derrick Henry.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about Zach Moss then. I know you just feeling probably winded from Derrick Henry. But yeah, go on to Zach.
I can
Moss.
talk, baby. I can always talk. Zach Moss. I am at RB 27. Where are you guys at? You have him at 41, spelled wrong. Shane O'Mac has him at 36. So Zach Moss, from what I understand, he was a guy that the Bengals went out and like prioritized in their backfield, said, Mixon, go ahead. Thanks for your service. We want Zach Moss. And for his skill set to fit that offense, his pass protection and what they saw from him running the ball last year, they just think he has more explosion than Mixon, which is certainly something that is attractive. I mean, that offense is what I think is going to bounce back in a huge way potentially win the division, definitely make the playoffs. Jamar Chase is going to be wide receiver 1 in fantasy. Burrow is just going to show that he's, top 5 in the league. And Moss is going to have one of those great Joe Mixon type seasons. Granted, Chase Brown will have a little bit to say there, but I don't know. He looked good in a couple big plays last year. I don't think he looked anything like Moss did when he had his chance there with the Colts. So for me, it's just like this team went out there and prioritized them and said this skill set is exactly what we want in our offense. It wasn't just like last guy available. All right, we need a running back. Let's get Moss. We're letting go Joe Mixon, who has been the cornerstone anchor of our offense for years. We're going to let him go, and we want that new toy, better pass protector. So he'll be on the field and probably a 3-down back and in one of the best offenses in the NFL.
Yeah, for me, like he signed a 2-year deal. They can get out of it after 1 year with hardly any cap hit. I'm a big believer in Chase Brown. I don't know. I think this year, they had Joe Mixon there last year, so he wasn't getting a ton of opportunities. He got a decent amount in the passing game, but I think this year they may not be as hesitant to give him more rushing opportunities also. I think the explosiveness of Chase Brown has me worried about ranking Moss too high.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm more on Shane's side than Mike's side. So I do really like Chase Brown. I think he's a really good running back, and I think he's going to make a strong case for a 50-50 split with Zach Moss. But it's hard to deny what Zach Moss did last year. I mean, when everybody thought that the Colts were dead after Anthony Richardson got hurt and Jonathan Taylor wasn't back yet, Zach Moss goes out and basically averaged 20 carries and 100 yards. Like, I think it was every game he played over 50% of the snaps, it was 21 carries and 98 yards. So that type of efficiency consistently shows me that he still has that juice, and that's why the Bengals went after him. So Zach Moss is going to get those early down carries. He's probably going to get the goal line carries on a really good offense with Joe Burrow. So I feel like I should be higher on him, but I have them right back to back with Chase Brown and Zach Moss, because to me it could go either way. And I don't know. That's something I got to work through the rest of this offseason with where I'm at in that backfield.
Within seconds of agreeing to a 2-year, $8 million meal, Moss. Coach, I'm trying to find what I read about him. He does a really great job churning out more than what's initially there. He has exceptional contact balance. He's decisive. He'll hit small creases with decisiveness, carry acceleration through that, and that's what allows him to rip through some of these tackles. Very natural, spinning off the first defender, keeping his balance, staying north-south. When you really dive into tape, you see over and over again, it's like, man, these runs do not look like they should be 12, 13, 16 yards. And at the end of it, he squeezed out every extra inch. I love his patience. I love his eye discipline. I love all things he brings as a runner, as a guy in the backfield that the quarterback can trust. And so I think he's a tremendous addition, not only to our football team, but to our offense and our community. OC Dan Pitcher.
Okay, I was going to ask who wrote that. Yeah, I mean, that's a glowing review.
Yeah, from his OC.
Yeah. I just don't. For me in Dynasty, we're talking Dynasty. He's got a 2-year deal with the Bengals. I personally don't see him on that team after 2 years.
He's young. You never know.
I don't know. He's 27. He's not that young.
He's
26. 26,
and he is. Let me pull him up. He is 26, and he has he's got less than 500 carries to his name.
Low miles.
We're going to find out. Bengals are going to find out as well. So they brought him in. He's got 2 years to prove that he can put this team in a position and be the running back that's leading them, not leading them because it's obviously Burrow and those pass catchers, but a running back on a Super Bowl team. That's why the Bengals, that's what their mindset is we want to win a Super Bowl ASAP. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yep.
That glowing review that you mentioned, has a lot to do with why he's at RB 27. Let's just say I did my rankings soon after reading that, and it stuck with me. Because
yeah, I
coach speak means something, right?
Absolutely. I mean, there's also a meter on coach speak per coach and whether or not they're follow up with what they say and stuff like that. But I completely agree with you. That doesn't discount what you just read off. Zach Moss showed he's a great player last year. The team loves him. I think the team's going to be really good. So I see where you're at. I just, with the contract situation, I don't see him being there after 2 years, but we can move on.
Shane O'Mac. I have Blake Corum at RB 28. Shane O'Mac, head in the clouds, has Blake come at RB 29. I don't know what you were thinking there, Shane O'Mac.
I just made that mistake today.
You have been on one lately. This is a guy that it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. I don't know what to think about that Kyren injury.
I mean, I'm not. Go ahead, Shane.
But it's like I know what I was going to say. What you're going to say, like you're not that concerned right now, but now we are dealing with like multiple years of lower leg injuries with him. And
well, the concerning part is if he's off all of off season, who's getting every single rep with the first team is Corum. And what happens if he develops his chemistry and kind of outperforms him in the first 4 games?
I don't know. That's where I'm at. I was going to bring that up, Mike. It's just with him being the number 1 running back through training camp, as however long Kyren Williams is out, I don't think that is going to be enough for him to take the job from Kyren this year.
No.
But it's going to definitely eat in a little bit more of a percentage for Blake Corum this year. So where I have him at, the reason I'm the lowest on Blake Corum is because of how much I like Kyren. You know what I mean? Blake whatever, you're fucking child. You're a child. But yeah, I just think this could be a duo, an effective duo, but I think Kyren Williams isn't going anywhere. So that's kind of why I have Blake Corum lower than you guys.
Yeah, we'll see. I would be worried about him, a guy that has the same skill set and an incredible work ethic, getting all of the first team reps. That's just a cuck situation waiting to happen.
Yeah.
And McVay has shown like he'll ride the hot hand. Like if he gets somebody in there,
very true. Very true.
Switched him. Yeah.
And like, could you imagine if he's going to be taking snaps with Matthew Stafford, Blake instead of potentially Trevor Seaman?
We're not calling him Blake Stop calling him Blake
Trevor Seaman.
This is not what we're doing.
Hey, okay. Go ahead, Kulz, and just go to my line 89 and just put a Y at the end there. Let's just go ahead and do that while you're at it.
Oh, we're talking Nick Chubby.
There you go.
Let's talk Nick Chubby. I don't know where to put Nick Chubby. You know what? I don't know that it's worth talking about Chubb. I don't know that it was even worth it about talking about Kyren's injury. Let's wait till next week. We're having Dr. Jesse Moss on the show talking injuries. Make sure you tune in next week. May 30th is going to be that recording, so it'll be out at the end of the month. And Shane O'Mac is going to be releasing a good article on Substack in the draft guide, and he's going to be talking running back injuries. He's going to be talking all injuries heading into the season. So I just wanted to tease that.
Yep.
And honestly, it's not a bad segue out of the episode.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Is there any other one before we leave? Is there anyone that you guys are looking at in these final 20 spots that's like, I have a really strong take on him. I want to talk about him.
Well, I think we should each go through and look at this bottom 20 and pick out a name that we would consider as a late round dart throw in Dynasty redraft or not Dynasty redraft, Dynasty startup. Mike, I'll let you go first because I don't want to talk about your guy that you're going to talk about.
Yeah, I just don't think you have to limit it to one each.
Fair enough. I just meant to keep it formal and just one each. Just mention them.
Yeah,
but if you want to go multiple, go ahead.
I just want to say like Ezekiel Elliott. Truck and I were in an underdog draft. I know we're talking Dynasty right now, but this applies as well. Like the Cowboys, Sean Lee and the Cowboys are fucking idiots. I don't understand how, like, as it stands right now, Ezekiel Elliott could have a huge year.
He could.
Truck and I were sitting there in a draft, and it's like we went wide receiver heavy early, and it was getting late on running backs. I'm like, Truck, you're gonna hate this. Just don't even like. Maybe your internet goes out or something, but we have to draft Ezekiel Elliott. Like, there's a real scenario that he's in a high-powered offense and he gets 10 rushing touchdowns this year. Like, that's an actual possibility. So Shane, talk about that a little bit, but kind of what I want to say first is that Zeke is one of those guys that if you're in, not even in a win now situation, but you need a running back that you can play this year and just not even think about next year. Someone that you know is going to come out and potentially have a consistent, decent year. That's why I just have them in, depending on how the draft, what strategy you have and how the draft unravels, you may be picking Ezekiel Elliott. You know, what do you see him this season doing at best or at worst?
I think at best you're looking at six, 7 touchdowns on the ground. You're looking at maybe 30 catches. I mean, he's one of the worst.
You should have the highest target share, though, right?
Maybe, possibly, yes. I don't know how they're going to rotate those backs between Rico Dowdle and Zeke, and I would love personally to see Deuce Vaughn used more, like in a Tariq Cohen usage rate that the Bears
Great name drop.
That's what I would like to see, whether that happens or not. Or I would have loved to have seen them. It's not going to happen, but I would have loved them to see them call the Bears about little Herbert and bring him aboard. But, with Zeke there, that's not going to happen now.
Yeah. I don't know. I honestly think he could have like a 60% share of that snap count or of that target of that backfield. Like, and that's more than 6 touchdowns to me. Like, they like to run the ball when they're in close and just kind of get behind their line. And Zeke's the kind of guy that can get you 3 yards. I could see a scenario where he comes back to Dallas and like looks better than he's looked and tries to have this late resurgence in his career. Is it going to happen? I don't know, but that I could see that scenario.
I can too. I honestly, I hate that I might be in on Zeke this year in redraft because realistically, dude, no Tony Pollard. Okay, there is no Tony Pollard on the Cowboys. No. Say what you want about Rico Dowdle and Deuce Vaughn, but I could see a situation where Zeke comes in 20 carries a game.
No, like
I'm telling you, man.
No
Zeke,
way.
I wouldn't put that too far out of the possibility range.
If he's rushing the ball 20 times, he's rushing it for 66 yards. I mean,
I'll say, Shane, there will be a game where he rushes it 20 times.
I would put the over under at 3.5.
3.5 games over 20 carries.
Yeah. And I would take the over on that. I think he has 4 or 5. I really do think they're gonna have him run the ball early and often. Pod bet. Let's go.
Pod bet.
Shane, you got me? 3.5?
3.5 games.
No, I think it's 5.5. When you started off the statement and said, I think he's going to carry the ball 20 times a game. That's not maybe 2 or 3 games, but now I would say at 5.5. So if you think 6 times during the year, he will.
Okay. No, all right. You want to raise it on my end? That's fine. I'll take 6 games at 20 carries a game because I do think he's going to have, in my opinion, a minimum of 15 and a maximum of 23 in my opinion. So I don't think he's only going to have 12 carries a game. 14, 15 is kind of where I'm looking at it. So I was envisioning maybe 3 or 4 times he gets over the 20 mark, because he's probably going to end a lot of games with 17, 18, and I'm going to get fucked in this bet. But that's kind of been my MO lately. I've been haven't had
20.
The best.
He did it once last year, 22 rushes. He did have a 17 and a 16, and then down the stretch, 11, 12, 14, 13.
I'll come down. I'll come down. I don't think there is 5.5 times that he rushes for 17 or carries or more. I'll come down to 17.
17. Let's do it. Lock it in.
Odd bet.
5.5. Odd bet. 17 or more carries.
Mark it down, dude. Shane, I'm taking you to school, buddy.
Ezekiel.
And I love that it's with the Cowboys.
Elliott.
So
you might as well just erase that first pod bet.
Yeah, that's
it may stand. We don't know.
Yeah, we could. They're going to drop the charges. Yeah, in Dallas.
The photographer lied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll keep it. There we go. Good documentation.
But with that being said, I mean, Dynasty, I'm not looking at Zeke. I will not be drafting Zeke in Dynasty.
I just wanted to say that because, Shane hasn't talked about the Cowboys in a long time. I know he's been itching. We heard a Sean Lee reference today. One other person that I want us all to talk about is J.K. Dobbins. What is going on?
If we're not talking about Nick Chubb, we shouldn't be talking about J.K. Dobbins.
Well,
I'm sorry. J.K. Dubinsky.
What I think is interesting about Dubinsky is, like, if there is any health situation there, he's going to be in an offense that needs a lot of production with a coach that is effective at running the ball behind one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. I just don't like.
Is he going to be healthy? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I don't like the fact that the team spoke so highly of Gus Edwards. That doesn't make me feel good about
That's not real.
Dobbins.
Nobody speaks that highly of
whether you say it's real or not. The coach speak came out just like how you brought up the coach speak.
What was
with
it?
That other player? What
was
the actual? I don't know word for word, but it was saying basically we believe in Gus Edwards and he is our lead back going into this season. He is a guy that we will be leaning on. Paraphrasing, of course, but that's why it gives me pause with JK. Even if JK is healthy, I don't even know if he's going to command that much of a workload. But it is going to be quality touches on a team that should be pretty decent. Drafted a really good offensive lineman lately. So it's in the possibility. I think J.K. Dobbins is a really talented running back, a lot of potential. I don't know what he was going to look like after this injury with a murky backfield. To me, I'm staying away.
Tune in to Dr. Morse next week.
Absolutely.
Tune in. All right, Shane.
All right,
talk about a rookie running back late that you're excited about.
The one I was going to bag, we already did. It's Estime for Denver because of he averaged 20 carries a game at Notre Dame last year, so he can carry the load. I'm not like you. You already talked about it. I don't know if Peyton is going to be loyal to Javonte or they turn to him next year. So if I'm looking at those rookies, I think he's probably got an opportunity next year. This year to carve out some sort of role. Next year, maybe like a bigger role.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk about 2 rookie running backs. One of them is Ray Davis. Shane, why do you hate Ray Davis so much? You have him at 51. Kulz and I are at 43, 42. I love Ray Davis on the Bills. We all saw what James Cook did last year, but I personally think James Cook can use a little help in this offense. And I think Ray Davis could be that thunder to James Cook's lightning. Shane, why do you disagree?
Let me cut off Shane, though.
Go ahead.
We saw what James Cook did last year, but we saw what the Bills offense wanted to do with Lat Murray, with bringing in Leonard Fournette. Like they want that thunder and lightning. And if he is the thunder to the lightning, then he's going to be a very good piece in one of the best offenses in the NFL. They will run the ball if it's effective, and they'll run the ball in the end zone if it's effective. Like there was one point in the year where people were literally picking up Latavius Murray. So that's all I wanted to say.
People were picking up not Latavius Murray.
They were
your boy.
Leonard Fournette.
It was.
I picked up Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, but that's like a pipe dream. They were legitimately picking up to start Lat Murray.
Yeah. No, you're good.
Shane,
I get it.
What do you got? Just not a believer in Davis, or you think it?
I'm a believer in Cook, and I just think the Davis ceiling will be capped. You know, they're not going to give Cook a ton of touches, but he's going to be very efficient with his touches, I think, and so I don't think there's too big of a ceiling for him.
So tell me why you like Chuba Hubbard over Ray Davis.
I think Hubbard could end up someplace else next year for sure, as not maybe a starter or a 60-40 guy. You could see him in a place like Dallas, or you could see him, he played ball at Oklahoma State, so you could see something like that happen. I think Hubbard's out of there next year, out of Carolina.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't think Chuba Hubbard's going to be starting running back ever again going into the season, barring injury, of course. But I don't think any team is going to slate him in as the number one running back for the team going into the season. But he had decent production, so I get what you're saying. In a needy team, if they've got nothing else, like what the Cowboys went through this year, bringing back Zeke, you can't do that again, right? So I don't know, but yeah, I get what you're saying. The other guy I want to talk about is Mike's personal favorite. I tried to give him the opportunity to talk about him, and he chose not to, so I will be bringing it up. It's Tyrone Tracy. Tyrone Tracy, rookie running back for the Giants. And maybe it's because Mike is the highest on Devin Singletary, but I don't think Devin Singletary is going to be very good. And I think Tyrone Tracy has a legitimate chance to come in and compete for a quality work share on a team that, in my opinion, isn't going to be very good, but could be in the future.
I am very high on Tracy. And for me, it's more because he's just a playmaker. He's a wide receiver turned running back. And in that transition, he has done nothing but succeed and had big plays. There's probably guys to clean up a little bit of running east-west, but if he learns how to be an effective runner, he's going to be a good pro running back in what you just said, a offense that right now it's Singletary. I don't necessarily think Singletary has, a full grip on that running back room. So if Tracy comes to and shows that he's a big playmaker, he can definitely carve out legitimate playing time. But I also am not I don't knock Daniel Jones like everyone else. Like that's another guy who I'm going to want pieces of in best ball. Every single year there's guys that get sworn off and they come right back. Daniel Jones had a nightmare of a year last year. Yes. So did Bryce Young. Yes. I want pieces of both of them and their offenses. Malik Neighbors is probably more talented and has a better career than Marvin Harrison Jr. I'll go ahead and just make that statement. So, Daniel Jones has never had a wide receiver one, someone that good. He had, he had fucking Sterling Shepard after his 10th season in a row being the leading receiver with the Giants with 400 yards receiving. So I don't know. He loses Saquon. That'll be a huge hit, but he has a legitimate best player on the field, wide receiver one to throw to. So I think it's huge. I think he's a good quarterback.
How about we do a second pod bet? All you roadies out there want a second pod bet on the show?
Yeah. What is it?
Mike, would you bet me? I'm going to say that Daniel Jones is not the starting quarterback for the Giants next year. Would you say he is? Would you be willing?
Yeah, let's make that 100%.
Let's fucking do it. Daniel Jones is trash, bro. Absolute trash. And I think he's going to be exposed this year without a legitimate running back in Saquon Barkley. We saw what happened last time Barkley was out. And, Malik Neighbors is a great wide receiver. He's the best wide receiver on the field when he's playing. But the defense is going to be zoning in on him. The Giants have literally no supporting cast for Malik Neighbors. So I don't see a world where Daniel Jones can do enough within this season to cement further.
So he's trash. That's your take, is just that he's trash?
I think he's not a good quarterback, and I don't think he'll be the starter for the Giants next year. I was almost going to go about and say that he will not be a starting quarter. I think he'll be a backup quarterback after this year. But I'm not going to go as far as saying that on the pod bet. I just don't think he'll be the starting quarterback for the New York Giants.
Because he's trash is your analysis.
Because he's trash.
Okay. We'll see. We about to find out.
About to find out.
Yes, we are.
I like that he has Dable. I don't want to end our dynasty running back rankings talking about Daniel Jones, but I like that he has Dable, a guy that brought Josh Allen, turned him into Josh Allen. Not saying that Daniel Jones is going to be that guy, but look what he did. He was a QB 10 in his first year working with Dable. Sometimes the NFL just fucking gets you like quicksand. It happens to every team. Look at Burrow. Burrow. So there's not many patterns in this league because of how hard it is to win and be good consistently. So anyways, I got a fly in front of me.
Okay.
I don't want to end this episode on Daniel Jones.
So then talk to me about Kamani Vidal. How do you pronounce his name?
Kamani Vidal.
Because I know people are talking about him in the fantasy sphere, and certain.
So
people
now you're gonna make me end the episode by shitting on everyone in the industry.
Tell me he's
that Kamani Vidal is gonna be a good running back, and they're super excited about I know how to end this episode, about a 5'8" running back from Troy. Or is that Dylan Laub, the other guy that everyone's excited about?
Yeah.
Both guys trash. Here is what I want to end the episode on.
Okay, hit me.
Let's go ahead and stop this screen share.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and pop this screen share back on. This is a guy that everyone was talking about last season. Let's look at 3 plays, three of Tank Bigsby's 5 targets last season.
Not Tank Bigsby.
That's how we're ending this episode, boys.
Let's do it.
Tank Bigsby, play action to the right. Oh, interception off his hands.
But look at him run the guy down.
Yeah, he's athletic.
It's effort. Here goes right
Tank
there.
Bigsby to the left. Oh, incomplete. There was 2. Here goes number 3. Wait for it. Out left. Off
right into his hands.
Interception. Now that is how I want to end.
Wait, can you tell me what is the title of that YouTube video?
Tank Bigsby sucks.
Tank Bigsby, it was a tweet by @Josh Norris.
Okay.
Tank Bigsby had 5 total targets as a rookie. Here are 3 of them. It can't get worse. So that's what I think of Kamani Vidal to tie this all together.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Well, I think that about does it for Dynasty running backs. A little bit longer of an episode. Hope you guys all stuck with us. We had some good stuff there. So thank you guys for bringing the heat this episode. This was a good one. So, but stay tuned. We got Dynasty startup drafts. We got Dynasty wide receiver rankings coming up. We got the Dr. Jesse Morse coming in to talk injuries. You guys all need to be aware of what these players are dealing with going into this year. So stay tuned. We got a lot coming. Mike, you look like you're dying to say something. Go ahead and say it.
We started the episode saying we weren't going to make Shane Mack make a pick. We are going to end the episode saying Shane,
love that.
Make a pick. make a pick.
The pick is in.
Oh!
Who'd you take?
Josh Allen!
Come on down.
Truckle up.
That was the right pick, Shane. That was the right pick.
Yeah.
Buckle up, motherfuckers. Blake.
Oh, well, yeah. It's,
Blake, come.
Dead cat.
Shut up, Shane. Shut up.